everyone, Joe here from ActionX. Welcome to What's in the Two, where it's our show where we normally review things in the world of television. Most times now we are doing episode by episode reviews of on-air seasons of television that are happening right now as we speak. But sometimes when we do finish up a season, we like to look a little ahead, see what's going to come up possibly, next season, whether it's confirmed or not. And this is one of those definite cases where we have been confirmed. Yeah, we are here today to get my predictions for the upcoming third season of CBS's Matlock, which I am, first of all, very, very excited to finally say that. Well, I've been saying that for a while, but I just in general, finally being able to, season 2 is over. Now we're moving on to essentially the next real chapter of the story. I'm a little bit, in the middle of things of how do I say this correctly? It's I never want to, you never want to bottleneck a story, but it's always you want the show to continue, but you don't want to have too much of it. So it's will this be the middle? Because I've had instances where whenever people advertise, okay, this is the beginning of the next book, and it's going to be much longer. And then I remember when The 100 finished 5 seasons, and then they got the book 2, which really kind of wrapped up in the next 2 seasons, so they kind of rushed it pretty quickly. And Nancy Drew, the first 3 seasons, coincided to one singular entity, and then season 4 was kind of the start of a new one, but they kind of got cut short. So I really hope Matlock does not follow that same cadence, and thankfully, with such a talented creator and Jenny Snyder Orgman, who had done Jane the Virgin on the CW previously, she can handle a really good story and telling multiple parts. Whether or not this is a part 2 sort of thing, or this is going to be just a second book with the same characters, I don't know. I really don't know. I trust her in her decision making, and hopefully the extra time she requested for this specific season will be enough. As let's talk about the release date. It will be coming out in 2027, mid-season. Both in the confidence of CBS Studios that we don't need to rely on it to kind of bring people back. We have a very solid lineup in the fall segment that people will probably come on their own. That indicates they will probably come out in February. I feel like that's a really good time period. It probably is going to be 13 episodes, just because I feel like I heard a rumor where they're downgrading originals from 16 to 13 to cut costs, which honestly, for me, I'm yeah, it's what's even a television show length anymore? Is it 20? Is it 18? It's all over the place with the whole prestige television argument. And arguably with Matlock, honestly, they don't need that many episodes. Obviously, I want as much as I want because I love these characters. I really want to see more of this world, especially, the way we ended off in season 2. I really want to know exactly where we pick up in 3. And I'm just so excited for that. I really, really am. But no, I just don't know what, it's business reasons. Obviously, everything's going up. Everyone else, the economy is really bad right now here in America, which is where they shoot the show. So unless they move to a different country, which I don't think that's the case, because I just don't think so. I really don't know, to be honest with you. I don't know. But regardless of that, I will still be, I'll be okay with 13 episodes. But last season we got 19 episodes. This season we got 16. 13 is fine. I can accept it. And hopefully all of y'all can too, because at least we get another season of the show. That's what matters. And just before we go any forward, we will be spoiling the heck out of the second season of Matlock. So you have yet to see season 2 of Matlock, which is now all available for streaming on Paramount Plus. It will most likely be released on DVD down later in the summer. But again, if you haven't seen it, please, I will be spoiling moments from it, so I do apologize if this is not the video for you. Please go watch the entirety of season 2. We have all of our episode reviews up now live for your viewing consumption, and you can always come back to this whenever you want. So with that being said, yeah, so I anticipate this season's premiere February 2027. It just feels like, okay, not January. I feel like they could, they may, but it's I think February seems to be a little bit more comfortable with 13 episodes. That's where my prerogative is. Our cast, I believe, to be honest with you, we're going to get some newbies. I think personally, this is something that they would have saved for season 4, but that's usually how television works. You get new people in to kind of keep the story invigorated. Obviously, they're going to kickstart a whole new story, a new mystery. That's going to be new characters. So what does that entail? I don't know. I really don't know. I do hope that Hunter, who joined late last season and was replacing Billy after all the actor debacle that happened at the very start of the season, um, I hope that he stays on board. They haven't made any casting announcements yet. I assumed everyone in the main cast is returning, which includes Katie Bates' Olympia, has Maddie, Olympia, Jason Riddler as Julian, Leia Lewis as Sarah, and Edwin, Augie. I just everyone will most likely stay on board. I don't imagine a storyline where like they're not included. Like they have to be there. Hell, I will even claim. I forgot her name. She was in the finale. It's the receptionist that became kind of friends with Maddie before everything. Well, who is about to be told the whole secret about Maddie Madlock. Um, Honestly, promote her too. I think she was very funny. Her stern look, and honestly, if they're going to really do what I think they're going to do in season 3, which I have two direction for season 3. So honestly, she's really perfect to kind of slide into there. Just promote her. I think honestly, she deserves it. She really, really does. But we'll see. We'll very much see. But I do imagine there'll be a couple new characters, thrown in there. Probably a new villain too, or not a villain, an antagonistic force, so to speak, similar to like what Senior was in the first 2 seasons. But with that being said, where do I see the premise? Where do I see them? Obviously, it's going to be a new story. The Well-Brexta matter is over. We're moving past that. We're still going to probably feel embers of Well-Brexta, as, now the new kid is like, we got to get Julian out of jail now. That's the next step as well. They still need to do the legal trial against Senior. So I don't quite think the Well-Brexta stuff is fully over, so to speak, but it definitely is now on the back burner, and it's definitely going to be a larger staying power for hopefully the rest of the series, to be honest with you. But I imagine 2 storylines that could possibly take over, and this is what I've been speculating, because they already confirmed there's going to be a time jump ending season 2 into season 3, which makes sense. Obviously you want a little bit of passage of time. I don't probably think they're going to set up the firm. I think Kingston and damn, I forgot Olympia's last name. I forgot, but I don't think we're going to see the beginning embers of their firm. We're going to immediately jump in there to an existing new firm outside of Jacobson Moore. And the preferred method is that we're going to kick it off where the new firm is set up. We're immediately getting to our new banter. I'm going to say it's about maybe almost a year since everything happened with Senior's arrest, and they're beginning the story with Julian's trial. That's where I think we're going to pick up with season 3. It also gives us time to kind of, give a re-status quo of everything that's going on. Maddie and Olympia being co-partners and, having to navigate not only their friendship, but navigating the business landscape of running a firm. Sarah and presumably Hunter, maybe a couple more junior associates will join on board. Again, that's why I said the laid off receptionist, who was the one who actually leaked the Well-Brexta disappearance. I think she's going to be a new their receptionist going forward. It's not going to be like this fancy schmancy, but considering the fact Maddie and Edward are going to probably just be bankrolling this idea, that I think personally that might be the approach that they might take with that one. And again, we're just going to jump right into Sarah and the former receptionist getting in there. They already know Maddie's secret. We might get a couple of random comments, but we're just shooing in there. We're not doing the whole like, oh my god, we're not doing it. We already got that for Olympia. We got it for Julian. I don't really think we need it for anyone else. I don't really think so. I feel like we're going to be in this very quasi weird happily ever after moment where they're doing their thing. They're reaching the dream. They're going to get Julian back on board. They're going to get the dream team back together. That's kind of where they're at. And then I think there's going to be a whole nother legal component thrown in there, which will probably be the new mystery. I'm not going to put any definition of what the new mystery is. Obviously, that's all speculation. I didn't get a hint of what it could be at the end. But I still believe the merger is going to probably play from Jacobson Moore. Probably play like a rivalry. Like they're definitely going to get new lawyers over there that are probably going to be competing against them. And honestly, it'd just be a fun dynamic, just a little bit of a competition, the up and comers versus the very damaged but yet powerful reputational firm. So definitely, I think that will be a very interesting dynamic to play, and to say the least. So that's one component that I would love to see there. The second idea I had, what it was going to be this tragedy, and this is kind of what they did with Jane the Virgin when we picked up with their second half after the time jump in the middle of season 3, where Maddie and Olympia would have already tried out their firm. It did not end well, and it's going to be like, sadly, a cliche where like they don't talk about it. They give brief mentions to it, like what is the big thing? Well, what did we split up for? And it like maybe it was a trial that like they both had split opinions on how they want to handle it, and maybe Maddie goes too far and she basically ignores Olympia. She's like, I'm done. So they both form their own unique firms as a self, where that's the cadence. I think they'll still be trying to fight to get Julie out of it. I think that's the only agreement between them. And honestly, I think either one of those directions will work for me. I think they're most likely going to stick with the former that I mentioned, where it is going to be like Maddie and Olympia getting their firm off the ground. We're not seeing the whole origin story. We're already in the middle of an active working firm, but they're still very up and coming. They're very much still on bare bones, even with all the bankrolling. And I think that's kind of where we progress onto that. But yeah, no. So I think that's the number one thing with that one specifically case when it comes to like the overall premise of it. And I do believe like we are going to see Julian in jail for a little bit of time. I don't think we jump straight him back to being a lawyer. I think he needs to go through a little bit of his own journey post everything that's happened. And then going into then like the characters and so what do I would love to see with them in this one. Honestly, it's kind of a bit of a weird thing. Like the show's still called Matlock, and I think personally speaking, it's like I really don't know what more you could do with that at the moment. I maybe I'll come up with something now, but like the whole first 2 seasons was about Maddie in a way, kind of letting go of Ellie. Like obviously she's doing this entire mission to avenge her, to get justice for her, but as the seasons go on, as the story unfolds, she realizes that yes, Ellie's death was a tragedy, but it led her to getting something that she never expected she'd ever wanted, which was to be a lawyer, to be able to have her own identity, to have her own placement in a team, and to have her be a valuable critical component on a team. And again, like Edwin signed off on her being Maddie Matlock for a couple more years. Augie is finishing up high school, so it's really about like to go back to the character's identity that still made sense to where we begun. I can imagine the whole dual identity thing probably getting to her a little bit in a weird way. I know in the end of season 2, Edwin said like, look, this time around, if we're going to continue the Matlock spear, I ain't going to be like the man, the housekeeper in the house. I want to be in there. I want to be in the action. So maybe it's time for Maddie Matlock to get herself a boyfriend. Which again, arguably makes sense. So like I said, I really don't know. I feel like this could basically be the turn for Olympia to take over as the main character. The show will still be called Matlock. And I think that name will be very subjective, kind of similar to like when Jane the Virgin, like after Jane had sex, they crossed out the virgin part, but they still called the show Jane the Virgin. So with that being said, it really does go back to showcase of like exactly where the show is right now. Again, there could be something that I'm completely missing here, but I feel like the characters come full circle at the end of season 2. So again, I really don't know what more is at play for Maddie, but for Olympia, she is ready to really figure out her new future. Again, she's had her life attached to Jacob some more. She was married to Julian. She was expected to be Senior's biggest protege. She had her own work ethic, her own identity, her own clients, and now kind of having to be in a weird restart is, I think the way that I think that's going to have to pivot, where, she's trying to figure out what is next for her. And I'm pretty sure whatever the mystery of the next season is going to relate to Olympia. And I think that's what is going to motivate, similar to how Maddie had her mission. This would be Olympia's mission, whatever the case might be. Maybe it's her own matter of like, maybe her, like something like about her father's passing, maybe a little bit different, something like that. I don't know. I'm just speculating here, but I definitely want to say whatever the mystery is going to be is going to correlate with Olympia, so to speak, as she kind of transitions to like the lead character, so to speak. And I think she's done a wonderful job in the first 2 seasons that like giving her like the primary lead and letting Maddie just support her for a change. I think personally could make for an interesting power dynamic to to be honest with you. And again, she has an open line to potentially with a new romantic interest. I don't think her and Julian are ever going to get back together. I think that ship has sailed, and she's ready to move on to some new people, to new men in her life. And I honestly, the way they were ending season 2, were like she's got multiple crushes on people right now, that I think she might find one that's like really serious, and that might be a real big testament for her about now fully moving forward in her life. Julian, again, similar thing where like I think Julian is going to be the outside box here, where like I really don't want him to jump back into the firm or to be a lawyer in general. I think he needs to kind of have his own redemption arc where like, yeah, no, he's been redeeming himself when he teamed up with Maddie, but he still did the deed and now he's paid for it. So now it's just, where do you go from here? Do you go back to being a lawyer? How do you rebuild your identity, your credentials? And then maybe it's like, let me do something else for a change. Let me do something different. Those are the different factors at play here. So those are all real questions that I honestly, again, I love Jason Riddler since Gravity Fall when he played Dipper, so I know he can deliver a really great character story. And again, the way they ended up, this sets the stage perfectly for him to have a very unique storyline that is very different for what it is. So I honestly, for Julian is the most interested. I'm expecting from him this coming season. Sarah again has been through so much in season 2. Losing her best friend. However that ended, and having to kind of really be in this up and down cycle of like, where do I belong? Like, do I belong here? Do I belong there? And it's there's so many questions. There's so many things about her that she needs to kind of figure it out. Like, like there's always a sense, like they say, like you need to figure out yourself before you can do anything with anyone else. And I think that's the crucial thing that I think her character needs to go on in this season, where, yeah, I know she's going to be told about the secret about Maddie, about really being not Matlock, but about Kingston. I think honestly, this season is, I think she's still going to somehow be with Olympia and Maddie. I still think so, but it's going to be a very different cadence where like she's going to be like, okay, well, I wasn't trusted, so now I got to figure out who I am outside of everyone. And again, them setting up her looking for biological parents makes for a good storyline there. And I think that's personally where the character is going to go, is self-discovery, self-identity. Like, who is Sarah outside of everyone else? Who is she as an own independent individual? And I think that's where the push margin is going to be for that one specifically. Again, I do see Edwin moving up to main cast. Like, he is part of the cast, but he's not part of the main cast, where like he's with everyone else. So I do definitely believe they're going to find a way to integrate him a little bit more in the storylines, which honestly, again, like Edward's mannerisms and directions is like, I love it. I really, really love it. And I want to see more of that. So again, him perfectly setting up like, I am not going to be your dead husband. I'm going to now be your on-hand boyfriend. I'm going to get in on things. And I'm like, honestly, I would love that. I really, really do. And honestly, I think him being front and center of like some of the crazy things that do happen may give him a little bit of a credence of like, okay, this is what Maddie deals with on day to day. It's not exactly what I was expecting. And, same with Augie, I think them getting a little bit more involved with like the other characters is going to give the show a little bit more of like a second go around with this code of pain. And yeah, I do imagine Augie's going to be a little bit older. I think he's going to be maybe a sophomore or junior in high school. So definitely it's going to be a critical time in his life where like Maddie and Edwin are going to essentially have to raise a teenager fully all over again. And so there's a lot of more added pressure on that, even with Joey on board, that's still a whole nother thing, so to speak, on that. And again, like I said, I would love for Hunter to come back, and whatever real storyline they give him, I'd be down for, especially whatever new characters they do. So I'm very curious about that. And just in general with the larger character spirit, like I do believe we're going to see Senior again. We're going to see Shay again. We're going to see those characters again because they're going to still be integrated in the story some way, somehow. I totally will 100% see that. Now, on my end, though, we got the big one, Gina Rodriguez, at the end of last season playing a Feds agent. Do I imagine her coming back? I don't think so. I think that was a one-time thing just in case if they didn't get renewed for season 3. To come full circle, like having the protagonist from the last Ermin show into the current with her and Katie Bates sharing a scene. I think that was perfect. So, on what's next, who else can be? There is tons of Jane the Virgin alums that you can bring about. But my number one, I want to see him come back. Jaime Calais, who plays Rogelio. Somehow, Jenny, please, for the love of God, bring this man on the show. Make him play a villain. Put him as a character of the week. I do not care. I want to see this man back in play here. He was he. I'm so sad. He did a whole boom in the 2010s. You know, he was in his own show. He was on Jane the Virgin. He was in Coco. He's done some other things, and I don't even know what he's up to right now. I haven't seen him in a bit in the mainstream, but like, I would love for him to come back. I would love for him to come back. You know, I think he's like number one on my list. You got Gina, he's number two. He is 100%. I want to see him somehow in season 3. You got to do it. You got to do it. But I'll take any Jane the Virgin alone. I'll take any one of them. They was amazing. It really, really, really was. So I do imagine we'll get some more alums in the show at some point. But yeah, with that being said, I mean, I'm just looking forward to it. I really, really am, and I, you know, take team. I hope the team takes all the time they need to like get those scripts ready, get an amazing story going, and to film hopefully another great season coming up. And you know, it's going to be a longer wait, 6 to 7 months, no pun intended. Even a little, maybe even a little more to wait for season 3, but I think the wait will be worth it. I think it really would be worth it. And when we do get to see it, it'll be worth it. Though I am a little scared for myself, considering the fact 2027. No idea what that year is going to bring. No idea. That's still a whole X amount of time left in the bank. So we shall see. We shall see. But with that being said, let me know about down below. What do you want to see in the upcoming 3rd season of Matlock, coming soon to a TV near you? I would love to have a conversation with you about it, as I always do. So please comment down below. But I believe that's going to do it for me today, everyone. So if you're unaware, this has been What's the Tube from ActionX, giving my predictions for the upcoming 3rd season of Matlock. If you want to know what we're doing normally, What's the Tube besides our Matlock videos, we currently do rookie reviews each and every week after Brendan is on ABC. But if you do care about Matlock, we do have a season 2 non-spoiler review coming out next week. So if you want to watch that, see what our thoughts were on the overall season from a non-spoiler capacity, you're more than able to do so. But if you only care about like what is next, the next thing, I will see you in 2027. Again, thank you so much for joining us this season. Thank you so much for watching us. You know, I know the schedule was all over the place this year, but we hopefully will have a much more refined run around when we come back for season 3 next year. But yeah, thank you again so much for all the support. Thank you for watching. Just keep watching. That's all we really ask for. So for that being said, I'll see you guys next year. But again, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't yet, like, favorite, share if you want to. Ring that bell and follow social media for more. But until we see each other again, thank you so much for watching. Please stay safe out there. Be good to each other. And as always, peace out.